Well, here it is. Oh. Oh. Huh.
There are so many reasons to ride a bicycle. Now, whether that is for health and wellness, for transportation, or for sports and recreation or competition, I'm not going to tell you what reason is right for you, but a common thing I know that keeps people from riding bikes is that they have to take care of them. Or they'll get a bike, be super excited about it, then the weather changes and it sits in a garage, it gets rusty, it gets rickety, and they forget about it. They move on and maybe just replace it with another bike. Now, I'm in the camp of taking care of your bike. If you take care of it, it will take care of you. And that's exactly what I've done with all of my bikes, but that can only go so far. As standards change and things start to evolve, it becomes harder and harder to find new parts to service an older bike. On top of that, your style of riding might change and your sense of enjoyment and adventure may change, which will inevitably push you towards getting a new bike. And that's where we are today. I have loved my felt Z85 from the day I got it. Prior to that, I was a PBR swilling, flannel shirt wearing, lane splitting, single speed riding son of a gun. But when I made the switch to this bike, that's what got me more into the sports and recreation rider. Swapped my t-shirt for a Lycra jersey. I started fueling and stretching and looking to challenge myself on the bike. And boy, did that bike take me some places. However, you've seen the title, I think you know where this is going. I could only have that bike for so long. Today, I'd like to give my felt Z85 a proper send-off and its swan song. The bike that helped me evolve from a summer villain to a Wahooligan.
Woke up this morning, walked past the nest, and it was reading 58 degrees at 6 a.m. I step outside and oh my goodness, decided I'm gonna ride to work today. New road bike is scheduled for delivery tomorrow. And once that gets here, this bike will not slide in anywhere in the rotation anymore. But my hope is to find you a good home, old boy. We've done some things.
Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the specific details and every little turning point, just the broad strokes. It started in high school, really, when so many of my friends were excited to be getting their learner's permit and getting their first car. I chose to get my own apartment. I think I made the right choice, by the way. Having your own place, emancipated minor, so dope. That's another story for another time though. Needless to say, I still needed some reliable transportation and the bus wasn't cutting it. I got a used commuter mountain bike and I rode that thing year round, rain, sleet, snow, through these Boston winters. But that's what I had. I got to school, I got to work, I got to practice everywhere. And in that process, I just learned to depend on it, but I could only depend on it if I took care of it. I knew that once a year I needed to change the chain and I needed to keep everything lubed and I had to make sure the brakes were functioning properly. Then I did get a car and I was all the way off, man. I was cruising until much later, and I mean a cool 10 years later. Life finds me moving back to Boston. I found myself again in a situation where I'm in the city and I just didn't have enough cash laying around to have a car. And even if I did have a car, there was nowhere to park it. So my default was to get another mountain bike, but it was heavy, it was slow, and by that time I had been exposed to bike messengers and seeing all those couriers flying around town, plus that movie Premium Rush had hit theaters, and buddy, that was it for me. So that pushed me towards my very first road bike. It was single speed, it was steel, and that joint was real. I loved that thing. Still had it up until a year ago when I passed it on to my nephew, who is not riding it now. And even then, I was riding for transportation. I was not riding for sport, but I was having a ton of fun doing it. There's a big bike culture in the city of Somerville where I lived, and the Somervillian culture, man, that fixie, hooligan type attitude, there's a whole vibe to it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know how to better describe it to you. Anyway, I took that single speed out, and chance would have it, I ran into a neighbor who was part of the local cycling group, and he told me, hey, we do this group ride on Sundays, it's open to everybody, you should pull up. And somewhere during that ride was when I didn't know it yet, but that's when I really kinda caught the bug for this sport. It was also on that ride that I realized, dude, you're gonna need some gears, because we were going up some hills and changing some paces, and while the single speed was fun, in the long run, you gotta use the gears, and they're there for a reason. So I started looking around, and that's where I landed on this steed, that felt Z85 that I have been riding up until this day.
Here it is. Oh. Oh. Huh.
Why did I get a new bike? Well,
Oh, did it come back? No, it didn't come back. Oh, nope. Nope. Let's see what I can do. Push that over. Maybe even a manual shift. Hey, look at that. Look at that.
and that in a nutshell explains it.
New road bike is scheduled for delivery tomorrow.
It was really starting to show its age, and there was so much that I had done to take care of it. I had completely rebuilt the drivetrain and replacing parts. But what's that saying? You're throwing good money after bad. There was a point of diminishing returns, long and the short of it. And no matter what else I would do, there was going to continue to be another problem. And the money that I was spending on repairing it could have been saved towards completely replacing and getting something with a newer spec, something with modern geometry, a little bit more comfortable, a bit more aero, but I wasn't ready to turn my back on it without saying goodbye.
And this is what the day's been leading up to. One of my favorite little hill climbs. Lots of memories there. Lots of meaningful efforts too. Speaking of which, here we go.
After spending so many hours on that saddle and going so many places, learning so much about the sport, it'd be wrong to just ditch it without a proper send-off. So we did one last hill climb off of one of my favorite hill climbs, Strawberry Hill Road.
First time going up this hill, I got dropped so hard, not knowing really how to pace it back then. I was not shifting the way I should be, and I really just blew up.
There were highs, there were lows, I laughed, I got a little emotional, I'm not gonna lie, but it really has come full circle. And again, I truly do love and appreciate that bike.
So just around this bend is where it really starts to get spicy. What a difference some experience makes. How you doing? Awesome. Beautiful day. Now a hell of a climb. A good show, old boy.
But now we are ready to turn the chapter, and we've got a new arrival coming that I cannot wait to unpack, put together, and take out for its first ride. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging for story time. Sometime in the near future, I will have that one ready for y'all. Until then, stay safe, enjoy yourselves, It's been real.